If you came in late, welcome to Unlock Church. My name is Scott Mendenhall, and I did just check. It is still snowing. Lily and the children's department are right now outside cleaning off all cars, okay? And if you'd like to give all the kids your keys, they'll warm them up for you, okay? So somebody will come around and ask for your keys. Just joking. All a joke. You're like, wait, my child is out in that? Only mine, okay? And there's like 7 of them, so it's okay. All our cars will be cleaned off. We are kicking off a brand new series today. I really am excited about this series. It is, and you can say just okay is not okay. Nothing in our life where we usually okay settling with just okay. You don't order okay unless you're at some place that they sell okay titled things, but you're not going to go to McDonald's and go, okay, I would like my meal medium, like temperature medium, like room temperature, please. I'd like my fries room temperature. I'm the guy that I want my fries to be hot. I don't know if there's anybody else like that. I just don't think kind of warm fries taste good. I want them hot. I want them fresh. When it comes to relationships, most of us don't want okay relationships. And so for the next several weeks, we're going to talk about relationships, from being a single person in relationships, being a friend. Are you an okay friend? Are your friends just okay? We're going to talk about, one week we're going to talk about marriage, and that's a great week for everybody. If you're married or not married, it's a great weekend to be here, because we're going to teach on what Jesus has to say about what it is, what marriage is supposed to be like, what it's meant to be. We're really excited about that. Next week, Holly will be here teaching. She's really nervous already. She told me I could say this. She's already, when she thinks about it, she immediately has to go to the bathroom. And so she's already nervous. But she'll be here next week teaching. And I love it when she teaches. One, because I get to go, yeah, it's not so easy, is it? I like that piece. Two, I love just to hear her perspective on things. And next week, she's going to share some parenting tips from a mom of 7. And so it's going to be pretty cool. And she's like, I asked last night, because on Saturdays I sit down and go through the notes that I had been working on all week, just to make sure that it's what we wanted to say today. And I'm like, so you got any thoughts? She's like, I got too many. I go, well, pick your top 3. And she just going through, and I just love it, because it provides a conversation in our house. And then I just can't wait to see what she shares. A group of us are going to Puerto Rico next week, so we will be doing a summer camp in Puerto Rico and helping homes that were hit by the hurricane that still have yet to be dug out from. Like, they're still in just the condition after the storm hit. And so we're going into some of those areas that are like the stoplights still don't work in the cities we're going into. The landlines, the phones, the Wi-Fi not connect. It's just, we don't see it in the news, but because we have some eyes on the ground telling us what we're walking into, it's not going on a tropic vacation, though we're going to do our best to visit the beach at times, but it's really going down there to serve a group of people. And really, this is the heart of Unlock Church, to see needs and meet needs, those locally and those past here. And someone approached us months ago and said, hey, we've seen what you guys do with your kids camps. Would you come help us do that in Puerto Rico? Would you help do this kid camp while we work on projects and stuff? And it's that see a need, meet a need. Okay, I didn't know there was a need. Now I'm aware of that need. It was, I couldn't say no. I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And so Lily, myself, and John are going to Puerto Rico. It'll be a lot of fun, and a lot of I hope someone's there to pick us up, because I don't speak Spanish, and I think they understand what I'm saying when I'm saying I'm arriving Saturday. I hope they understand it, because they said yes. Actually, they said sí. And I was like, that's a letter in the alphabet. I hope that means yes. And I'm nodding my head anyways. It's going to be a lot of fun. They've also asked me to document all of it, so you'll be able to see a lot of it on our YouTube channel, the things we're doing there. And so Holly will be here next week, pretty amped about that. When she gets up here next week, give her some love. She's really pregnant, and so, she just needs as much love as she can get. So in the series today, this is kind of the beginning chapter, if you would. Like you get into a great book, and it's like the meat of the book is the second half of it. This is the setup to it. We're trying to get you set up for the series, and over the next 4 to 5 weeks, we unpack all of it into different areas. And so this is, if you walk out of here with okay, where are we headed? That's the idea. We're not trying to bookend it today. We're trying to start the conversation to get you to begin to think What relationships in your life are just okay? Sometimes we're not aware of it. Sometimes we're like, I know it's okay, but how do I stop it from just being okay? Because okay, what we're trying to say is not okay. If you've seen I think it's AT&T commercials where a guy's sitting down to get a tattoo, and the guy getting his first tattoo is like, aren't you supposed to trace it out? He's like, no, I got it. And he's like, stay in your lane, bro. If you remember, right? And he's like, you're the best tattoo artist in the city, right? And the guy's like, no, I'm one of the tattoo artists in the city. It's that this isn't okay. It's like, not okay. Relationships are not meant to just be okay. We are to, Jesus said this is his, I'm quoting Jesus. He said, I came to give you life and life abundantly. So he's come to give us things. And when he talks about abundant, it doesn't mean in possessions. It means in relationships should be thriving. Thriving means going somewhere. It should be moving in a direction. If you look at some of your relationships and they're not moving in a direction that is in the right direction, the going forward, progressing forward, then we've got to spend some time, put some attention in those areas. And so that's our hope. So if you are in a relationship with an ex and they have your kids and you're like, well, maybe Jesus will speak to you. You shouldn't be anymore. It's on you to change because you can't change other people. One thing I've learned inside relationships, those people I'm most frustrated with, I want them to change. And Jesus often taps me on the shoulder and goes, well, you can't change them. But you recognize there's something in you that rubs you wrong. You need to change then. That it's in you, not them. Because when we recognize the frustration, it's typically Jesus going, yep, that's you, not them. But we want to let them know it's you and not me, right? Well, that's that tension we have when it comes to relationships. And Jesus comes like, no. You recognize the tension. It's for you to pay attention to the tension because that's where Jesus often speaks loudest in our lives. But we want to make sure that the other person that's involved in the tension feels it as well. That's Jesus' job, not yours and my job. Our job is when we feel the tension inside relationships to pay attention to it and do something about it. So I want to pose this question. If you're not a note taker, this might be a good one to take notes in because we're going to have a lot of things for you to think about. And you're going to want to think about these because it's going to help you not have just okay relationships. So we give you permission to have your phone out and take notes only. Someone will be coming around periodically to see what apps you have had open in the last half hour. And I don't know what we would do. Take your phone from you? I don't know. Anyways, here's the first question. Here's the setup to it all. What do you really want? And now you're like, well, give me some context. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it where it is. What do you really want at the stage of life that you are in right now? Because in this room, we have it from teenagers to 40-some, 50-year-olds, 60. We have the age gap. So every age gap here, or age represented, wants something differently. So what is it that you really want? Give you a second to think about what is it that I really want. If you want some content, if you want some areas in your life, what is it that you want out of life? What do you want in your marriage? What do you want in your next relationship that you're going to have, that you're going to date? What do you want with your boss? What kind of relation? What is it that you want? What do you really want in life? And what always changes with what seasons of life you're in. I remember when I was about 8 years old, we had a swimming pool in the backyard, and all I wanted to do was swim when my parents weren't home. I don't know why I was fixated on that, but I think it was because it was a rule. You couldn't swim in the pool when mom and dad were not home. One afternoon, mom and dad are not home. My second oldest sister, Jenny, is home with me, and we decided we're going to do what we wanted to do. And so we decided to swim. And so we're swimming in the pool, no parents around. It's just her and I swimming around in the pool, having a great time. I must have said something to my older sister that she didn't like because she then kicks me out of the pool. It's one of those above ground pools with the soft sides. And somehow she kicked me, and I don't even know in my adult mind, like I'm remembering this. She must be a superhero or something to be able to kick me with so much force that I fly out of a pool. But somehow I fell out of the pool when she kicked me, and I happened to land on a bicycle that was propped upside down with no chain on the sprocket, and my back landed on the sprocket. So the sprocket goes right through my back, and I'm stuck. because the sprocket's in my back. The sprocket, I can't push off. I'm freaking out, like pain everywhere. Like I can still today just picture just laying like this, just screaming, and my sister is just peering over the pool going, I don't know what to do. And I'm like younger. I'm like, do something. And you're like the immediate what kids response, get mom or dad. I was fortunate that mom and dad were pulling into the driveway at the same time. They come out of the car in a hot mess, right? Like they see their son, their only son, their best child, laid like this on a bicycle, right? They're like, this is like worst case scenario. They're like, what is happening? And their second oldest daughter just like hovering over a pool. It's just like, what? This is the worst case scenario. Mom comes and pulls me off the thing. They take me off to the emergency room where I get stitches. You can still see where I don't know how it happened and how I can even stand straight, but where the sprocket went into my back, it shifted my spine. So my spine, right where the scar is, does a little bit of curve. It's like scoliosis or something, right? But it's not because I have it. It's because the sprocket pushed everything around when it went through instead of, anyways. I was a wreck. I got what I wanted to do, right? Swimming by myself. It's what I wanted to do. Now as an adult, I get to swim when no one's around all the time. I don't want to do that, right? It's like the what changes in life. It just does. It's the seasons of life. So when I ask that question, I'm asking the current version of you, what is it that you really want? Because if you would have talked to me that day, I'm like, I really want to swim in the pool when my mom and dad are not home. And then I did, and then I realized, whoa, what I really wanted isn't what I wanted after all. So let me put some context in this. As an adult, some of you might be going, man, I want a great retirement plan. That's what I want. When you were 16 years old, you were not thinking about a retirement plan, okay? But here you are as an adult. I really want a good return on my investment. You don't but because seasons change. A single person, I don't want to be single. When you're married, you might be going, I want to be single, right? It's like what I really want changes by seasons. Maybe when you got a new job, you're trying to figure out what I want is to move up the ladder as fast as I can. As a 10-year-old, legend and epic, they're around 10 years old. All they want to do is play. I asked them today, what do you want to do? Play. And somehow Legend got on me about something. I was like, Legend, how about you shadow me for a day? You just do what I do. I don't want to do that, Dad. You don't play at all. Like all day, you're working. I don't want to do that. I'm like in my mind, I'm like, well, sad day when that happens to you. But he's like, you don't play. He just wants to play. What do you really want to do today, Legend? I want to play. Want to go to school? Nope, I want to play. What do you want to play? I just want to play. I want to have fun. It just changes with life. I'll answer it for you, and maybe you're going, what do you really want? This is the true answer about every one of us in this room. I'm not separate from this is what's truth about us. What we really want, the number one thing we really want is we want our way. When it all comes down to it, we want it our way. And we want it hot, and we want it fresh. We want it our way. That's the way we want it. We want it our way. It reminds me of I'm going to have to edit this video because if my family sees this, they're going to be like, wow, you put us on blast. So when you watch this back and I bleep out my oldest sister's name and then my mom's story here, because I wrote in the notes, don't say mom, and I just did. I ruined it. But I'm going to tell the story anyways. My mom is one of the sweetest women. I mean, so gentle, so kind, so much grace. Like, I don't know how that so much sweetness can be packed in such a little body, okay? She's amazing. But when we go out to eat with her, there's something that like turns on in her mind where nothing is good enough. And like, it's like we order, and it could be like Chipotle, or it could be a really nice steak restaurant. It always goes back. It's not cooked right. It's not like they bring it back and it goes back, and maybe some of you know some people like, maybe some of you are like, that's me. Here's the deal. I don't know if it's you, okay? No one texted me and said, could you use this story, okay? So don't go, how do you know? It's Jesus, okay? Here's what it is as I watch, like Holly and I talk about, when my mom comes to visit, okay, how do we not go out to eat with her? Because it just feels weird. Like, we're like, Holly and I, like, we work in this city, and these people are looking at, like, this woman, like, what is, I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. And, like, we always at that moment, like, we're like, hey, we'll leave a tip. Because we feel like we need to really leave a good tip. Because even, like, the Coke goes back, oh, it's a little flat. It was just a little flat. Can I switch to this? And then, oh, no, I'll just do water. And you're just like, it just back and forth. And at the end of the day, it's my mom's rub is, this isn't what I wanted. Now, I get it. You're paying for something, and you should get what you're paying for, and I get that tension there. But I am sensing the chuckles from you that you've been there, or you are there, or something that you know what I'm talking about. The rub is you're not getting what you want, and so because you're not getting what you want, you're going, hey, get me what I want. And we sometimes justify, well, I'm paying for it, yes. And you should get what you're paying for. Sometimes you can do it still with a love and a smile. Sometimes I look at my mom, I go, Mom, you are a sweet woman, but your face is saying something very differently right now. Like, my goodness, the snarl. I haven't seen that since I was 16. Come on, Mom. What we all really want when it boils down to that question is, I want my own way. And that begins the rub in all relationships. I mean, think about it. Did you ever teach your kids when they said, no, I want my way? Do you go, okay, that's all right, or do you go, no, I got to break this in my child because this is not how the world works. This is not how you get along with people, is where you pick up a fight and say, I want my way. I want to do what I want to do. Man, some of I don't know if it's a disadvantage, but growing up with a lot of children in my house, like, you never get your own way, right? It is majority rules. It's just the way it goes. Like, you got to be fast at the dinner table. If you blink, there's no rolls, okay? It's like, well, somebody complains, well, I didn't get a roll. It's like, because you were messing around at the beginning of the dinner. And so all of a sudden, you say amen at our house, and it's just food everywhere, and it's just like it's gone. Like, Holly and I have to put aside our meal, or it's crazy. But we love it that way. But when my kids go, I want my way, there's something in me that says I have to teach them that that's not okay. That's not how Jesus wired us to be. That might be human nature, but that's not how Jesus wants us to behave. Jesus spent his life talking about, listen, this is what culture says, and this is what human nature is, which nature is all about yourself. It's protecting yourself. Number one priority is me. That's human nature. That's default. That's easy. That's so simple. Everyone does that. The hard thing is to shift and go, okay, I'm going to make myself underneath everyone else, and my way isn't priority. It's what everybody else wants. But then our human nature begins to justify, but look, I need to teach them a lesson. They can't always have it their way. That was their parents' job or Jesus' job, not your job. Our job is to do with what we know we're supposed to do in those moments of, okay, I recognize that they want their way, and if I push back, what I'm going to create is a fight. And so I'm not going to do that because Jesus says to serve one another, to love one another. So I'm going to do those things, which is humbling, which makes yourself seem less, which doesn't actually in Western culture seem like you know what you're doing. You seem like a pushover maybe, but really Jesus is saying, no, that's what I want you to do. I was thinking about this week. My kids, they get after school, they get about a half hour of TV to watch, and some days they choose some weird Disney shows, and I'm like, okay, let's not watch that anymore. That's in the background, and because the church office is at the house, and I can hear it in the back. I'm like, let's do something like a nature channel. And so they've been on like Wild Kingdom and some crazy stuff, and they're learning about bears and all these things. And one night they're like, Dad, you got to watch this bear show. It's so cool. Last night they warned me, Dad, you don't want to watch Dr. somebody from Alaska. Anyways, they're like, they removed a horse's eye, Dad. It was really gruesome. And I'm like, oh yeah, did you watch it? Yeah, like this. I'm like, because that really blocks it. It's funny how this just makes it feel like I've cut some of it out. They let me know. But when you watch nature from afar, it seems so cuddly and lovable. Like when you see bears on the TV or far away, you're like, oh my gosh. Just to snuggle a bear would be awesome from afar. You get real close and you're like, I don't want to be that close to a bear. Why? Because you know the nature of the bear. You know what its tendencies are. The closer you get to the bear, you're like, I might come into the account of what that bear could do to me. It's the nature of the bear that you are afraid of. The same thing with the human nature. From afar, it's like, oh, yeah. When you get close to people that just let the human nature run rampant in their life where they're super selfish and they struggle with anger and all these different things, it's like, oh, it's not as pretty. I have the I love my job, and I get the honor to do life with lots of people and do meetings with people at different seasons in their life. And sometimes in seasons of life where the marriage isn't going the way they want it to go, and they come in and they see me and they begin to share what's going on in their marriage and all of these things, and they go, well, they weren't like this when I married them. When we were dating or when we were just getting to know each other, man, I thought they were different. They seemed really, they loved me. But then we got close. And then I got to see the real them. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say here is that from afar, man, it's cute. But when we get to know the real people, when it's not trying to be what Jesus is saying to do, it's not as cute. The human nature isn't cute and snuggly and cuddly. It's a train wreck. It makes a mess of heaps of things. So when I look at my children and they begin to say, oh, I want to do this, I want to eat this, it's like, no, you're going to eat what your mom made. We're not making 8 meals. It's just not going to happen. What's been placed on the table is what we're having. And then you teach them because that's how you put yourself underneath the person that cooked. You serve them by saying, thank you, I'll eat what you made me. You're not going to get your own way. And I'm not saying that in a way to crush the spirits of my children, but it's trying to teach my children what is the way Jesus is wanting us to move towards. See, I wrote it like this. If we always do what we want to do, we end up where we don't want to be. We think if I get what I really want, I'm going to be happy. If I do everything I really want to do, and I'm going to end up where, but the truth is, if we do everything we want to do, we end up where we don't want to be. It's like this. I'll use diet as an example. I want to lose weight. That's what I really want to do. And then we make decisions that either undermine what we really want to do, or support what we really want to do. I want to get in shape. I want to eat better. And so we make daily choices that either undermine what we really want. Inside relationships, you ask, I've done, again, heaps of marriage counseling. You go, hey, what do you want out of your marriage? We don't want to end in divorce. Okay, what do you want? That's where everybody defaults. I just don't want to end up in divorce. That's not defining a win inside marriage. As long as we don't divorce, we're good. Because if that's all it is, I just don't want to divorce, that means you guys could hate each other, but be okay with that because you're not divorced. The idea of marriage is to want to be with each other every season of life. That when you go away, you miss home, not because you've left your children, but because my partner is not around. When I think about Holly, she's been, honestly, since 5th grade, we've been around each other like every season of life. She knows, she just knows me very well. She said it the other day. I don't know what I was doing. I was messing around. She's like, I know you better than yourself, and she does. It's just like, I go to her, what do I want to eat today? She's like, this is what you want to eat today? It's like, it is. It's what I want to eat today. Good call. What should I wear today? No, it's not that bad. But we know each other. But I look back and, man, if I was picking a team, or if I'm going to go into a battle, I'm picking her first because I want her there. Though I'm excited to go to Puerto Rico, I'm just as equally bummed to not have her with me because she makes me better. And I'm not saying this because I need to earn some kind of points. I got so many points banked up, it's ridiculous. So this is just padding the account. I mean, come on, seriously. It's 8 kids. Something's going right. You heard her laughing, okay? She says, she goes to me just inside thing. She goes, when you say those things, everyone looks at me when I'm sitting there to see what I'm doing. I'm like, well, make sure you're always laughing then. Just laugh, Holly. So, but she's been with me in every season of my life. She knows, my tendencies. She knows everything about me. she's trying to prep Lily and John. I don't know if she's actually met with John yet, but she was telling Lily, she's like, listen, you've got to get him back here for that Sunday service. He cannot miss that Sunday service. What we have planned that Sunday service is amazing. It's the first ever in Unlocked Churches history, and most churches in the United States have not done what we're about to do in 2 weeks from this Sunday. It's going to be so special. You don't want to miss it. And she's like, you can't miss it. Like, there's no, like, you have a layover, because we have a layover of 6 hours somewhere. And I was like, yeah, cool, we'll just drive to the beach where we're at. She's like, you cannot do that. You have to stay in the airport. So she goes and gets Lily. She's like, Lily, your job is to keep him in the airport, because he will leave that airport with 6 hour layover. He's not going to want to sit there. Your job is to keep him there. She's like, if you have to drug him, you drug him and keep him there. I don't care. She knows. I'm going to look and go, we're like 10 minutes from the beach. Let's go. Lily's like, no, John will be able to keep him. And she's got all this plan. I'm like, here's the deal. I think John's going to be with me on this. John's going to go, let's go. We got this. We'll make it back in time. Holly knows that I have missed countless of flights because I'm at the beach somewhere and the plane is taking off. I'm like, oh, no. It's happened too many times. Or I come running in board shorts and just coming back all salty, because I didn't have time to change and I'm sitting down, my hair's still dripping. And I'm like, whoo, made it, but I got to the beach. And so she knows me inside and out. And what I love about Holly is that I don't want, in our relationship, we have never said, man, we just don't want this to end in divorce. We've always said we want to enjoy each other's company, whatever we're doing, good and bad. And we've been in rough spots before. We've had no money, and we opened our last can of food in the house, and we still were sitting next to our bed, cracking open the chicken noodle soup and going, this is it. I have no idea what we're going to do from here, and it's a great story how we got there and all that, but we don't have time for it. And I wouldn't choose to sit there with anybody else but her, because she knows me. And the goal is that every season of life, good and bad, that we want to be around each other. I double-checked. I go, Holly, what's our goal in marriage? Because I didn't want to get up here. And then I was like, what's our goal? Because we've talked about it several times, but sometimes, moms and dads of 7, soon to be 8, you tend to forget a lot of things. So I was like, what is our goal in marriage? She's like, to always have fun. I was like, that's a good one. But that's not what we said. I go, how about, she's like, to never go bad angry. I was like, that's another good one. We've said that too. But no, what's the over? Because you're trying not to, spoon feed it to her. I'm like, what is it? She's like, I don't know. I was like, no, I can't. If you don't answer this, I can't use this as an illustration. And so she finally got there. I was like, whoo, I'm glad you figured it out that we would enjoy every season of life, wanting to be with each other. That's our goal in marriage. That's been our goal, is that we can laugh at every season of life, the struggles at beginning of church and all those things. I choose her every time. I don't want just an okay marriage with her. I want the best that we can have. Now let me give you a little bit of nugget of wisdom here, is don't use what we just said about our marriage and you adopt it going, that's what I want. Because what we do is we try to define our win in areas in our life by taking other people's wins and going, that's what I want. Well, I like their marriage. I like the way they're raising kids. I like that about them. I like that. So I'm just going to adopt all their stuff. But you don't define what your win is going to be. You're just now forced into this track of what everybody else is doing. You need to be able to look at in your relationships and define what is a win in your relationships. We rarely define wins in our lives. What we do is we shoot, and then we go paint the target. Look, I hit a bullseye. Well, how'd you do that? I'll show you. You just shoot. Wherever that lands, I go, just slap some paint, I got a bullseye. Woo, I did it. That's not how winning is done. I don't know much about winning. I just know that winning is better than losing, okay? And so if you define a win in your relationships in your life, you know where you're going. So look at your relationships, define the win. Let me ask this question differently, and what is it that you really want? What is important to you? Let's ask it differently. Because when I ask what do you really want, it can get materialistic really fast. I want a new car, new house. I want new clothes, new shoes. I want a better job. Okay, so now let's shift it a little bit. What is important to you? I'm going to ask you to rewind the clock back in your mind. Doesn't every regret begin with I want? Most of the regrets in our lives began with I want. Regret ends with I want to go back in time and not get what I want. What did I wanted to swim with my parents running around. I did it. You know what? When I have a sore back, lower back, I know why it is sore. And don't I want to go back and not take that swim that day? You better believe it. My sister Jenny, she want to go back and wish she want to kick me out of the pool. You better believe it. I got what I wanted, but it's not what I really wanted. Now we're going to jump into and wrap it up with this last thought from James, Jesus' brother. I always love to talk about James for a second because it just brings validation to who Jesus is. And you might be sitting here going, Scott, I know who Jesus is. I believe who Jesus is. But you know there's groups of people in this world that think that Jesus is not really who he is. And our mission as a church is to help those people find a relationship with Jesus and begin to trust Jesus more. And so anytime I can take a moment and to shed a little light on the truth of who Jesus is, I want to do that. And so every time we get to speak on James, the author of his book called James, it's towards the last two books of the Bible. You got Revelation, which is a really crazy book of the Bible, and then you've got James. And James is Jesus' half-brother. When I say half-brother, it's this, okay? Joseph is not Jesus' dad, okay? Joseph is the father to James. Jesus' father is God because Mary was a virgin at birth. Okay, got it? So different dads, so that makes them half-brothers. Historians document James's life while Jesus was alive as he thought his brother was mad, crazy, a lunatic. He would have been one of those people in the crowd saying, crucify him. My brother has gone off the deep end. This dude has lost all logic. That was James. But James ends up writing a letter to a group of Christians that is in the Bible. And what's profound about it is that James became a follower of Jesus after Jesus' death and resurrection. Then all of a sudden he's got to go backwards and go, oh my gosh, everything my brother has said is real. He's the real deal. Everything he taught me is the real deal. And so now James later in his life begins to write down what he saw his brother teach and live out. And he writes these letters. James isn't writing a letter like, you know, you've heard us talk about Paul. Paul wrote these letters to church plants. Hey, as he established a church in Rome, I'm writing, hey, this is how you guys should conduct meetings. And to Timothy, who's a pastor of a church, he started, hey, here's my thoughts. And that's Paul's letters, a group of people. James writes to all followers of Jesus. So it's not to just one group of people. It's not like he's sending it to Unlock Church. It's like all those that are going to be followers of Jesus one day, I want them to understand the words of my brother. I want them to hear what he was teaching. And so when you think about, again, put yourself in James's position. If you have a brother or sister and they came to you and said, I am the son or daughter of God, I'm pretty sure you would think they're crazy. If any of my sisters did that, I would laugh. I'd just fall over on the floor and be like, oh my gosh, did you hit your head today? What would seal the deal is that they would have to do what Jesus did. Die and rise again. That would probably, I'd wake up to it. So here's James writing a letter to all Christians, and he's a follower of his brother. Here's what he says. And it's so simple. You know this. But I want you to grab this. You need to write down James chapter 4, verse 1. Just write that reference down. You're going to read this again and memorize this maybe. He asked a similar question here. What causes fights and quarrels among you? What causes fights and quarrels among you? If you're married, what do you argue about most? And don't go, well, the kids. That's what we're so good at in Western culture is dealing with symptoms and not the real problem. It's like in summer, which seems like so far away here in Minnesota. I understand that. But in summer, you get these pesky weeds, right? And if you don't pull the root out, the weed grows right back. It's like it's amazing how fast they can grow and they spread. And it's like you got to get the root. But you know what? If I just get the leaves off, I don't see the root, so I'm all good. Or how about a cold? Man, I just want the symptoms of the cold go away. I take NyQuil. It helps me with the stuffy head, whatever, all the stuff. It just makes me sleep good. I love that stuff. Anytime scratchy throat, NyQuil, yes. So you have all of these symptoms that we are managing, but the cold is still there. And here is James. He comes along and goes, what causes fights and quarrels among you? And we immediately go to, well, it's the kids, it's stuff. No, that's the product of the real problem in your life. And James is about to tell us what it is. But we spend too much time just dealing with the symptoms. As long as I can keep the symptoms under control, I'm pretty good. And so James goes, okay, I asked you the question. I will probably answer my own. So he continues, right? They come from your desires that battle within you. Don't they come from you not getting what you really want? So the question at the beginning is a setup. What is it that you really want? The setup then is your fights and arguments that you have with all people in all relationships boil down to you're not getting what you want. So you're like, okay, great. Well, what does that mean? And so James, again, don't they come from the desires that battle in with you? Then he says in verse 2, you desire, but you do not have, so you kill. Immediately you're like, come on, I've not killed anyone over not getting my crayon or getting the car I wanted or the job. I've not killed anyone. Do you know the word hyperbole? I think did I say that right? Hyperbole, thank you. You know what that means? I had to look it up because I was like, I know. I brought Holly, like, Holly, you know what it means? She's like, yeah, I do. She didn't. So we looked it up. It means, and I'll read it, is to an exaggerated statement or claim not meant to be taken literally. So James here is writing like, listen, I'm taking it to the farthest deal. I'm over-exaggerating this to make a point. Not that we're going around killing people physically, because remember, he's not writing to one person. He's writing to a group of people he does not know. Future followers of Jesus. He's like, look, what happens is that what you want, so you kill. It's the furthest. But think about it like this. Haven't you seen marriages? Now, this is the unfortunate part of my job over 23 years now of being a pastor, sitting down with different people in different seasons in their marriages. I have watched marriages be killed by people because they didn't get something they wanted. I didn't know they didn't want to have kids, and I want kids, so I'm going to go and marry somebody else that wants kids. Poof, death to the marriage. I'm not getting what I want. Death to the marriage. Or I want to live in a different part of the United States and my husband or wife doesn't want to move. I'm going to kill the marriage so I can move where I'm killing. It's not killing the individual, it's killing the dream. How about, haven't you seen young people kill their dreams with their decisions? They decide, instead of being able to play this sport I love, man, you see this in the news all the time. And I got a scholarship to go to this college to play a big-time school in football, but I really want to go to this party tonight. And they go to this party, and all of a sudden they do something they shouldn't have done there, and then they kill their dream of being a future Hall of Famer in NFL. How about young people? You see this a lot. Oh, man, don't date that person. Don't date that person. It's not anything bad about that person. You just know that, boy, if you two get together, it is not going to be good right now. You're not good for each other right now. It's funny how people that are not emotionally invested in it can say, that's bad, just pump the brakes. But the person involved, but I really want them. I really, really want to not be single anymore. People on the outside, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. If you do that, it could really detonate and destroy your future hopes and dreams. And we see this countless times. So when we hear James write, you desire but you do not have, you kill. It's not physically killing someone. It's the dreams and aspirations in our lives because we aren't willing to put our desires down. James continues, you covet. Now, we don't use this word very much in our culture, covet. And even if you even have an idea of what covet is, you might go back to the 10 Commandments, which is in the Jewish scriptures, the Old Testament. You got the top 10, but there's actually like 600 and some ridiculous craziness. Like honestly, you should read them. You're going to go, what? Like, you can't just live by the 10. If you're going to say, I'm going to live by the law, then you got to live by all 600 and some. It's like craziness. Like, some of them are going to be like, what? It's craziness. So read them. It's good entertainment for sure, because Jesus come along and said, look, I'm not telling you that that's all wrong. I'm trying to tell you I fulfilled that, and here's how I'm going to sum it all up, and we're going to read it here in a second, how he sums up all those commandments. But one of those was do not covet. In the top 10 of the 600 and some commandments is do not covet. And we think about it's a mental thing. It's I should not sit there and want other people's stuff. That's what to covet. But that's not what James is writing here. James is saying you covet. He's saying you pursue things with everything you've got. You keep asking and asking, I want it, I want it, I want it. It's a relentless pursuit after something. That's what James is writing here. I want it so bad, I'm willing to crush other things to get what I think I really, really want. So you covet, but you cannot get what you want. This is James writing. And so he says, so you quarrel and fight. You don't get what you want. You covet, but you cannot have. So you quarrel and fight. This is what happens when we don't get what we want, what we think we want. We begin to blame it on other people. I can't have children because that person doesn't want to have children in this relationship, so I'm going to kill the marriage. I can't get this job promotion if that person's standing there because they want it too, so I've got to sever that relationship with them, and we kill that relationship. Or we just begin to blame. We don't take credit where we need to take credit. It is my fault. See, I wrote it like this. What you thought you wanted is not what you wanted after all. When we get it, it's not what I wanted after all. What you thought was going to make you happy didn't. It might have for a moment, but it didn't last forever. So we go back to covet and pursue the next thing. That didn't make me happy. I'm after ultimate happiness. And here's the deal. Jesus spent his life talking against all this. He came and said, listen, I want to give you something, not take something from you. I'm going to teach you how you are best to live and pursue things. But here's what happens is that what we really want lurks in a realm we rarely explore. What we really want lurks in a realm we rarely explore. I want a new car, so we study up on the new car specs. This is what I can get for my money. I want this car, I want this car, I want this car. I'm going to figure out how to get this car. Did you know this, that the mind, the brain doesn't actually put energy to things that I want. This is for everybody. This isn't just a Scott thing. When you want something, let's say it's a new pair of jeans. As a teenager, I want a new pair of jeans. And so I want it. The brain's like, great, this has nothing to do with survival. We have to shift it to a need, then the brain begins to engage. How do we get that? Because we need it now. Because if we need it, it must be something about survival here. And so we shift these material things into needs. I need new jeans. And so all of a sudden I need. Kind of, substitute the want to need at some point, and all of a sudden our brain comes fixed on what we want / need and figures out a way for us to get, well, I could borrow this money from this person, and that would give me enough for a down payment to get what I want, but I need it too because it would help me in my job, it would help me in my relationship, and we can figure out how to make wants into needs, and our brain then engages in it, and we need our brain to engage in it so it can get what we want. We then trick or lie ourselves that it's a need. Because the brain doesn't care really what we want because it doesn't have to do with survival. The human nature is all about survival. That's the thing about nature. It's all about survival. And so if the human nature is about survival, then isn't it then going to be all about the survival of the fittest? Is that who you want to be? I don't want to be that. I want to squash that piece of me. I want to be more like Jesus. And you know what breaks my heart about my own life is when I tell you guys I'm the messy of the mess, I don't got it together, is that I can sit there, read the Bible, and be like, yes, Jesus, I want to be more like you, man. I want to love my neighbor. I want to love those that hurt me. I want to pray for those that I just am frustrated with. And then I can walk out of there so excited about my relationship with Jesus, and I can walk out of there, and I can think things about people that I know I'm not supposed to think that way about them. I can be angry at people, and I can become this guy that's like, that's not who I actually want to be. I will read what Jesus says I'm supposed to be like, and I go do the very opposite of what I really want to do. But you know what I have surrendered to? I have surrendered to Jesus, saying, Jesus, I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to say what John wrote, more of you and less of myself. I need more of you in my life, Jesus, because if I don't get more of you, I'm going to hurt more people. I'm going to continue to do stupid things constantly. I'm going to live a life of regret because that's not what I really want. And as I said a moment ago, what we really want lurks in a realm we rarely explore. And if we all boiled it down, we would trade stuff in for relationships in a heartbeat. We substitute relationship, or we we replace stuff with relationships all the time because, man, we can control it. It's not going to yell at it. When it breaks, we can kick it or hit it with a hammer. We don't explore the realm of what does Jesus want for you very much. The only time we explore that is when we're scared. I love, and Luke records Jesus' words. One occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus, to say, hey, Jesus, if you're the real deal, we're going to see. And if you answer this wrong, then we're going to stone you immediately. He goes, teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Well, what is written in the law, he said. Well, how do you read it? And he answers, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus' response is yes. That sums up the old covenant. The 600 and some laws is that right there. Love God with everything. I really like that version, what Luke records there, because it's the opposite of coveting stuff. Because it says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your strength, and with all of your mind. All of you pursues and covets a relationship with Jesus, not what you want. That's the realm we don't pursue a bunch of. We pursue the stuff we want a lot, and then we taste a little bit with Jesus. Instead of going, okay, I'm all in on Jesus because he's going to give me actually what I really value and want, I'm not going to pursue the things I want. But you walk out of your commercials are not going to, because it's hard to market that stuff. Jesus and relationship. It's easy to, oh, you need a new iPhone, you need a new car. And those things are not bad. Those people are not bad people. They're just tapping into our human nature. They figure something out. So Jesus, man, we are to spend more time in what does Jesus want in our lives instead of what we want, because then we will get what we ultimately want. James writes, you do not have because you do not ask God. And some of you are like, well, it'd be weird if I asked God for that Porsche. I don't think. There's the indicator that isn't what you really want, and you know you shouldn't want it. James continues, when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives. Now, that's the English version. If you go back to the Greek version of this where James is writing, he actually, because it's not good English if we just wrote it, you ask badly. But that's what he's saying. You ask badly. Not with wrong motives, because you're not going to go, Jesus, I would like a brand new Porsche. Because you know the answer to that. It's like, that doesn't help me at all. I live in Minnesota, so I can only drive it like 2 days out of the year. It doesn't make any sense. You're like, because you're not going to ask with the wrong motives, but you're going to ask badly. Jesus, I want that promotion. But why? Instead of, what is it, what I want, it should be, Jesus, what is it that you want with my life? What do you want with my marriage? What do you want with me as being a parent? Our wants are so surface and aren't really what we want. We've got to explore an area that we're not willing to explore. Lurking in the shadows of what we want is what we value. So I end with another question. So what is important to you? And your homework is define what is important to you and what is a win in every area. And if you're married or in relationships with people, because a lot of these all have to do with relationships, you need to let them know what a win is. You can't decide, well, this is what I want the win to be, because all of a sudden you're back to a fight. Because it's what I want versus what. Define a win so you know what you're going after. See, when there have been seasons in Holly's and my marriage where we're going, I don't want to be around you right now. It's not all roses in our house all the time, okay? There are times where it's like, But you know what brings us back is that, if we head that way, that's not defining a win for us. That's not what we define the win in a relationship. So we've got to mend the relationship so that we want to be around each other. We just do. I've learned with Holly, she doesn't enjoy people helping her cook. I've tried repeatedly. She just I've watched her kick the animals out, and she's just like, so what I do when she's cooking, it's not me being a bad husband and not wanting to help her. She likes her space in her kitchen. And so I just sit on the other side of the bar, and on a stool, and we just chat while she cooks. And I have surrendered the idea of I feel bad sitting over there not helping her and not seeing a need, because if I get in there, I just create more needs, okay? And I'm like, what do you want me to do again? And so I sit, because I want to be in there in the kitchen with her. The kids are doing their stuff. I want to be in the room with her, laughing, sometimes making fun at what she's making or whatever, making just everything fun in the house. That's my job. But I want to be with her. I want to be with her. Because that's what we've defined. Are we winning in our relationship? Do I want to be with her? You can take that and make it your own, but you've got to define a win in every area in your life, inside your relationships. And you've got to ask yourself, what is important to me? And then define the win. Define the win. Now, if you're single, or you can define the win of what it's like to date. Because if you don't define what it is like to date in a winning category, you'll adopt somebody else's winning strategy, which isn't winning after all.